responsible party? As the House pushes for a second impeachment, President Trump meets with his VP for the first time since the Capitol insurrection. With terrifying reports of future armed protests and threats against Biden's inauguration, should Trump, Pence, and politicians backing false claims of a rigged election be held accountable? And he's the music superstar with the longest-running #1 song in U.S. history. Lil Nas X on his journey to give the LGBTQ community a major voice in rap. Plus, Ralph Macchio and William Zabka talk about their journey from Karate Kids to the binge-watching obsession, Cobra Kai. Here come Hot Topics with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Austin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
Well, hello and welcome to The View. The House is going forward with the second impeachment of you-know-who, and yesterday he met with his VP, Mike Pence, for the first time since domestic terrorists stormed the Capitol. Now, there are also reports of armed protests being planned at the state capitals and threats against Biden's inauguration. The whole mess, believe me, started with his lies about a rigged election. You know, he's saying that, it wasn't right the way it happened. And I don't know, and 147 members of Congress support this. So I feel like they should be held accountable too, because they've been putting into that lie. Do you think, do I have a point? Am I crazy, Sarah? What do you think?
You are not crazy, Whoopi. I do think there need to be punishment, but there's a distinct line for me. So the Congress members who voted against the Electoral College results, I think their consequence needs to come in the form of elections. When they are up for re-election, their constituents need to decide. For the people that stoked the violence and raised their fists and asked people to storm the Capitol, they deserve to be punished just like Trump does. My concern right now is when the punishments come, not if they come. Because right now I feel like with Trump and the angry mob of many of his followers, I think they always Kanye West the moment. Like right now, we have a new administration coming in, and the focus right now needs to be on the inauguration day, the safety across the country leading up to inauguration, and January 20th. We're going to have 3 former presidents there. We've seen what happens when they don't prepare, and that happened the other day. I also think the attention needs to be on the virus. Joe Biden, President-elect Biden, spoke the other day, and he talked about his concern is about the resources and time that the Senate, Congress in general would be attending to this. Right now, he really wants to push through cabinet members. He wants to get his agenda in place, and I tend to agree that there needs to be punishments. Do they need to be right now sucking the air out of the room with everything else going on? I think they need to be delayed slightly, but absolutely punished.
Okay, well, Joy, what do you think of all of this? What's your feeling?
Yeah, well, remember when the Democrats wanted to impeach him they tried to impeach him the first time? Oh, they did, actually. They just didn't convict because people like Susan Collins said, oh, he learned his lesson. Well, obviously, he didn't learn his lesson. He got worse. The fact that they did not convict led him to be completely brazen and arrogant about what his next moves, which led us to the other day at the Capitol. So they need to be sanctioned and expelled. I think these 8 senators, 139 congressmen who continued to hold on to the lie and the sedition implications therein should be expelled from Congress. I just wanted to say one thing about the Congress right now. The old saw, I guess you could call it, is that Democrats fall in love and Republicans fall in line. I think Meghan said that. And I think it's basically a truism. And what you have here is Exhibit A with Mike Pence. Here's a guy who basically, they were calling for his hanging because President Trump said he was not cooperating with the lie, and that he was going to go and he was going to confirm the fact that Joe Biden won the election. And yet he is now unable or unwilling to invoke the 25th Amendment because that Republicans fall in line has brought us to this point. I'm looking at you, Mitch McConnell. I'm looking at you, Lindsey Graham. I'm looking at you, Kevin McCarthy. I'm looking at you, Mike Pence. They fell in line to the detriment of the United States Constitution and the American democracy that we have been enjoying low these many years.
Yeah. All right, Sonny, when you hear all of this, what's your thought?
I think that it's an honor and a privilege to serve your country in the Senate and in the House. And there's just no question that the 14th Amendment of our Constitution makes it very clear that no person shall be a senator or a representative if you've engaged in insurrection or rebellion against our country. And you can't give aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. And I think it's pretty clear after Wednesday's events that Republican Senators Josh Hawley of Missouri and Senator Ted Cruz of Texas have violated their oaths to the Constitution and have violated the 14th Amendment by conspiring with domestic terrorists, by inciting an insurrection. It's very clear that I believe on January 3rd, I think it was, that Senator Cruz was giving a speech and screaming and yelling that we will not go quietly into the night. I think we saw that picture of Josh Hawley, raising his fist in solidarity with insurrectionists right before they stormed the Capitol. And during the insurrection, in fact, my understanding is that President Trump was calling senators, asking them to continue to stall the Electoral College certification. Rudy Giuliani, in fact, was trying to reach Senator Tuberville and left a message with another senator, and that message was leaked and was reported on, begging people to continue to interfere with the electoral certification. And as Joy mentioned, I think it was 8 senators who objected and 139 representatives objected. And all of them then violated the 14th Amendment and should be expelled from their positions. There's just no question about it.
All right. All right. So, Megan, when we come back, I'll come to you, but we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Still ahead, sex at a certain age. Will the return of the iconic series Sex and the City with the OG cast still be a turn-on for viewers? And which star didn't get back in bed for the reboot? Still ahead, Grammy-winning superstar Lil Nas X. Plus, Cobra Kai stars Ralph Macchio and William Zabka.
Welcome back. Right before we went on air, you know who spoke on the White House lawn about the push to impeach him. Take a look.
As far as this is concerned, we want no violence, never violence. We want absolutely no violence. And on the impeachment, it's really a continuation of the greatest witch hunt in the history of politics. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This impeachment is causing tremendous anger. And you're doing it, and it's really a terrible thing that they're doing. For Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer to continue on this path, I think it's causing tremendous danger to our country, and it's causing tremendous anger. I want no violence.
So, I don't know, Megan, what's your take on all this?
So he apparently also said that he takes no responsibility for what happened at the Capitol, that he doesn't believe that any of his language or anything he said incited anything. And honestly, the first thing I thought was Jack Kerouac quote, which is, "There's no end to this madness and American sadness." American madness and sadness. I mean, it's absolute lunacy. It was my first reaction originally after the attack on Capitol Hill. We're talking about sending 10,000 new troops in for the inauguration of President Biden. They're talking about police departments all over the country, about possible attacks, domestic attacks on every capital in all 50 states from domestic terrorists. We are living in a time that it feels like we're in a banana republic. And I don't use verbiage like this at all, and I certainly haven't used it in 4 years. Ronald Reagan said that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We are talking about the possible disruption of the peaceful transfer of power, which, as I have said before, is the bedrock that makes us Americans. So if he can't take some responsibility, I don't understand why he's not being dragged out by his toes by Mitch McConnell. Joy and I are echoing each other on the show right now, but the thing that I have to live with right now, and this isn't about me, but I am an avatar for so many Republicans in the country, is that it doesn't matter what my principles are. It doesn't matter that I was raised a Reagan conservative. It doesn't matter that I've spent my entire life and career espousing for one form of the way that I believe government and conservative principles should lead this country.
country. All that matters is now I'm the freak in the Viking helmet outside of the Capitol and the one that stormed inside. That's what all of us are having to deal with. And for those of us that are the real conservatives that are going to have to deal with this mess and pick up the ashes and somehow move forward, I don't understand why people on Capitol Hill aren't demanding that this end, because as long as we take no culpability for what happened, and I say we as the collective Republican Party, there is no future for this party. There is none. If the president's going to keep saying things like that and we're not going to hold him accountable, this is dead. And we can call it over. Actually, it's not, because people like me who aren't octogenarians are going to be able to pick it up and hopefully move forward one way or the other, because I still am a Bill Buckley conservative. But watching that, it's disgraceful. And it just... I don't know how much more of this everyone can take, as I keep saying. And I'm sorry to be so upset, but it's just, we're living in the Twilight Zone.
Yes, we are. And I put out something, I tweet occasionally, but somebody put this out and I'm going to read it to you. Imagine 9/11, only no press conferences explaining what happened or what was going on, and a third of the Congress expressing sympathy with Al-Qaeda and urging us to forget the attack in the name of unity. That's what's happening. Mm-hmm. And this idea that, we are sitting and, he's in charge of everything. Who's in charge of the Department of Justice right now? Who's in charge? There's no one in charge except him. No one. So that's
Pence
why.
is kind of in charge.
Well, okay, but that means nothing's going to happen. See, the problem here is it's all in his hands right now. And the fact that no one can do anything, and the fact that, I just want to finish, the fact that no one is saying, sedition means going against the United States of America. Somebody needs to say that to Clarence Thomas's wife, who also was giving them, what is the word? You said it, Joy.
Cover.
When they're giving them
Aid.
Aid
and comfort.
Yes,
Aid and comfort
by writing, and aid and comfort. And all of those folks sitting there knowing that this is a lie, for me, this is treason. You know that this is a lie. This has been predicated on a lie the entire time. And y'all just sit there and let it happen. You are the problem. See, they need to get all y'all out first and then go get him out. Yes, Joy, you were saying?
But notice... just notice one thing about the speech that he just gave, the thing that we just heard. There's a tremendous amount of anger on the impeachment. That is yet another dog whistle to his base, or whoever these people are, to go out and cause trouble and become violent. And aren't you angry that they're doing this to me? Those are the little dog whistles he gives to people. So he's not on Twitter, so he's on television doing it.
Joy, can I jump in really quick?
Gotta watch
His
this guy.
family needs to be held accountable for this, too. Don't let Ivanka and Jared off just because they are not saying anything right now. Apparently, they're in hiding. Do not let these people off the hook. If there, God forbid, is more violence, and I pray from the bottom of my soul there isn't, but if there is, all of these people need to be held accountable. And again, the reason why I never sounded the fire alarm before this point in time is because I always thought maybe there was a moment when it would be an absolute, utter, cataclysmic constitutional emergency, which is where we truly are at right now. Don't let anybody off the hook. I beg of everyone.
Well, this is Americans against Americans. We are now fighting each other, forgetting about the country. This is America. We don't do this. We can fight verbally, but this idea of having to get down and fight with people with their hands, you tell me you're going to shoot me, you're going to do this to me. When did that become okay? And I'm talking to all those people sitting in that room, all those senators and congressmen. When did it become okay for y'all to sit back while people threaten the lives of people you work with every day? When was that the American way to go? When did that become the way that this country pointed? We always point to other people and say, we don't do that. And here we are. You are sitting and you're letting it happen. You know what needs to be done. And you're letting it happen. Your silence makes this okay. We'll be right back.
Self-care package at ViewYourDeal.com. We partnered with vendors for half off the health and wellness products we could all use right now. So get to ViewYourDeal.com now.
Welcome back. People are always looking for all the diversions they can find these days. So a lot of Sex and the City fans were very happy to see the new trailer that reunites all the original stars except Kim Cattrall, who didn't sign back on. But some wonder whether, people are going to embrace this as they did in the past. I'm going to ask you first. I guess I should ask you, Sonny. Are you ready for this?
Yes. I am.
Good.
I love Sex and the City. I've watched
about you, Joy?
the entire season and both movies. So yes.
Yes, no, I'm not interested. I never was interested in this show, but I mean, I hate to say that because I'm sure it's a very good show. It's just not my cup of tea. But I think that they need to reboot it for the women in their 50s and let Cynthia Nixon lead the way as the lesbian in the group, and maybe all the girls can experiment with lesbianism in their 50s. That would make an interesting show. Just to have a crush on Mr. Big when you're in your 50s, like, give me a break. I'm tired of that.
Right. Megan, any thoughts?
I watched this show in high school and college, and it went off the air when I was a freshman in college. It's been a long time since this show's been on. I'm not really interested in any shows where they show a depiction of New York without any black people or Hispanic people or any minorities whatsoever. I think this show could really evolve into the future in a lot of ways. There's also been criticism of it that it's not it's like negative towards bisexual people. Like, I think there's a lot of evolution this show could take. I thought Girls was a much better representation, even though they had similar issues of what actual New York City is like.
They do need black
people. What about
people.
you, Sarah?
Well, maybe they will add, maybe there will be black people. Maybe they'll reinvent the whole thing. But I feel like as a Cobra Kai fan, if we can get into men in their 50s doing karate, we can get into women in their 50s having some sexy time. So I'm on board.
Yep.
The thing about this reboot is that... Oh, go ahead, Whoopi.
I was just going to say, I will put out that Golden Girls, Blanche Dubois had 165 sexual partners. Blanche, Dorothy, Rose, and Sophia dominated the Miami dating scene. Sophia slept with 25 men, Rose slept with 30, and Dorothy slept with 43 men. Don't let anybody tell you there's no sex after 50. I'm just saying.
The online comments are so ageist, as if women all of a sudden close up shop when they hit 50, which is ridiculous. A lot of women are just coming into their own in their 50s. They finally found their G-spot. They know what their bodies are all about. And they find a guy who has some technique and some experience.
Show.
I love it.
Well, here's the... Women close up shop when they are not interested in the people who are interested in them. That's the thing. In any case, we're going to go and find our own G-spots. We'll be right back.
Two-time Grammy winner Lil Nas X is sharing how his groundbreaking journey is taking him beyond Old Town Road and his message to the young generation of Americans. Next.
Song in U.S. history, Old Town Road by the groundbreaking artist and two-time Grammy winner who's made a lot of history at just 21 years old. Please welcome Lil Nas X. Lil Nas X, what's happening? Welcome to The View.
I'm happy to be here. I'm here to promote my little book, C is for Country. I'm just out here,
It's kind of amazing. I love the fact that you've written this book. Tell me, how has all of this been? You were on your sister's floor at one point. You were 19. You write this song out, and the next thing you know, you are everywhere, and it's kind of fabulous. Are you having a good time? Are you enjoying it and building up to where you want to get to? Are you having a good time?
I'm having a really great time. I am learning a lot more about life and just going through the ups and downs and meeting so many great people that have come into my life since everything has popped off. And, just happy for all the opportunities that just keep happening.
First of all, I love your hair. Let me also ask you this. You were one of the first artists to go viral on TikTok, and you're very savvy with social media, but you also have a way of really bridging generations and cultures. You invited Billy Ray Cyrus onto the Old Town Road remix and the Michael J. Fox cameo in your holiday trailer. Is that a conscious effort to reach people of all demographics, generations?
100%. I'm influenced a lot by pop culture from all different time periods. So I try to bring that together with whatever I'm doing, like within my own art, you know?
Well, I am a huge fan of Old Town Road, like the rest of the planet, and I actually sing a version of the lullaby song to my daughter. She loves it. She just goes ape crazy every time I play it, and I'm so thrilled to hear that you're releasing a children's book that combines your love of music, fashion, and all things country. What made you want to write a children's book, and am I the first person to tell you that Old Town Road is a good lullaby?
Oh my God! I wish you were. I wish you were. But yes, I've been told a couple times.
Well, I love the messages of inclusivity and individuality in the book. And you publicly came out as gay in June 2019, just as your career was taking off. And you said you originally planned to die with the secret, and that since coming out, your support has waned somewhat among hip hop supporters. Why was it important for you to go public when you did?
I guess I definitely wanted to be authentic from the start of my career, and also become more comfortable and confident in myself. So, and I feel like that was a bandage that needed to be ripped off to get to that place.
I love your hair too. It makes me feel a little inadequate as a redhead, especially in COVID, since I haven't got access to the bottle as easily. You look good. So let's do this. You've said that you stay away from politics because it depresses you. It is depressing sometimes. As a teen, it was frustrating, you say, to see protests over police brutality and mass shootings and have nothing change. Well, things do change, but they're so slow that it's very frustrating. After recent events and the racial reckoning of last summer, do you still feel that way, or is it something you want to be more involved with, or do you feel it's happening at all?
I definitely want to be more involved for the simple fact that I now have a platform and I can really have, influence over what people see and hear and think about everything that's going on. So, even though it's definitely depressing sometimes, it has, there are conversations that have to be had,
And you do have this huge platform. The other thing where you've been really influential is your fashion. You've become quite the fashion icon. I mean, your red carpet looks are the talk of every single award show. And you recently collaborated with Christian Cowan on his spring 2021 collection. I love it. Where does the inspiration for your style come from? Different places, or where does it come from?
A lot of different places. Me and my stylist, Hodo, we really want to make me this shapeshifter of fashion and who jumps around in many different areas and always try new things and, just try to step out of the comfort zone each time.
Wow. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit why you wanted to write this book for kids. I was telling you before that my kids the other day were on the couch reading, and I heard what sounded like Old Town Road, and I was like, I keep my books for work separately so I can make sure I've gone through them. And I'm like, is that Lil Nas? My kids now have grown very attached to your book. But what made you write it?
Well, with the success of Old Town Road, majority of that success I will attribute to kids. And they love this song so much, and this idea to do a children's book was brought to me, and I was like, this makes perfect sense. So we got together, we did this book, and it came out amazing, and it's beautiful. It's a cute little book. So
it's so cute.
Really nice. And you had a really busy holiday season, releasing the new single Holiday and taking over for the big guy as St. Nas. So is this going to be something that we're going to get to see on an annual basis of the holiday season?
I think so. Or, I'm going to try to do different holidays and stuff like that. Or regardless, I'm just happy to have the music out. It's dope.
Listen, I'm just proud of you. I just love what you did. I love the way that you're going towards your career, because you're not restricting yourself. You're going for it. So I just say, keep on doing you, baby. Thank you for coming to visit us on The View. The children's book, C is for Country, is out now, and you can get it anywhere fine books are sold. And we, of course, will be right back. Thanks, Lil Nas X.
Thank you, legend. Thank you, everybody there.
How think Ralph Macchio and William Zabka handle facing off in fight scenes on the hit series Cobra Kai 3 decades after The Karate Kid? Find out next.
We got a new lead on Robbie.
A lead? What are you, Tango and Cash?
Tango and Cash were narcotics detectives. It's a totally different thing.
Oh, I'm sorry. My mistake.
Well, on the trail now. We just need to check out this info.
Yeah, scumbags at the prison gave it up easy.
Did you say prison?
We were just talking to a couple of guys who knew Robbie.
Yeah, they wouldn't talk, so we had to smack them around a little bit.
You did what?
But I didn't smack anyone around, honey. It's more of a good cop, bad cop situation.
Actually, it's more of a no-cop situation. You do realize neither one of you were cops, right?
Yeah, but we got the information we needed.
The guy coughed up like a chicken bone. He cried.
That was Ralph Macchio and William Zabka forming a very awkward alliance in the new season of one of my favorite streaming shows, Cobra Kai. And they are joining us right now. Please welcome Ralph Macchio and William Zabka. Hey! Welcome.
Good to see you.
Now, Ralph, before we talk about the show, I want to mention your amazing wife, Phyllis. You've been married 33 years. She's a nurse practitioner who's been working during this crazy time. I mean, what's it been like for you with her, going really on the front line?
Yeah, it's. Thank you for mentioning that. I really appreciate it, and so will she. She's doing well. She just got her first vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, yesterday. Mm-hmm. So it's tough. It's a lot of what she does is dealing with the families and palliative medicine. She's a nurse practitioner and dealing with that end of life scenario, or how to manage being apart and go through this. It is hero work, and I am so proud of her. But she's doing well, and we are hanging in there. Thanks so much for mentioning that.
Excellent. Give her a big hug for me. Now, let us speak of Cobra Kai. I lost my mind for the show. So when you were shooting your first scene together as Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, what went through both of your minds?
Go ahead, Billy. You up?
Sure. Our first scene shooting together, Ralph and I have been friends for many years, so this is the first time we put our Johnny Lawrence and Daniel LaRusso skin on, so to speak. And he walks into the dojo. It's a scene in season 1 when he walks into the dojo. We have a front stare down. And it was the first time Johnny and Daniel were looking through each other's eyes, and it was very palatable. And we knew as soon as we finished that scene when he walked in that these guys were back with all their baggage, and it felt alive. And we felt when he walked off the set and we completed that scene, we felt like this is going to work. There's something really special happening here. It's a great emotion.
Right.
I mean, 35 years ago was the crane kick that I took to the head. And, so it was nice, but here he is again. I mean, he's walking into the dojo, into Johnny's dojo, and perfect LaRusso form, and it set a great spark for the rest of where we're going with it. It was awesome.
You each have 2 kids. Now, Ralph, yours are in their 20s, which is shocking to me. And Williams, yours are only 11 and 7. Now, none of them were around when all of us were, when Karate Kid was in theaters 36 years ago. Cobra Kai is a huge hit. So, Ralph, how do your kids react to you being part of something that's actually such a big deal right now?
Yeah, it's awfully nice to be cool for another 15 minutes or so, as opposed to the geek dad, self-proclaimed geek dad that I am. That is an icing on the cake that I was not expecting, to have something that's such a big part of my life back in the day now be such a big part of my kids' lives and them champion it. I mean, this show coming out, every season it launched was like Christmas morning for them. All their friends, they're all getting together, they're binge watching it as a group, and it's really quite wonderful. They're friends with some of the young cast members, our next generation cast. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Now, William, your kids are pretty young, but have they seen the Karate Kid movies?
My kids have still not seen the Karate Kid movies. I always say if I played Daniel LaRusso, they would have seen it on day 1. That's your dad. But I don't want them to see that guy taking the crane kick, So they
your face has healed nicely in the last 35 years, though.
Yeah, exactly. But they love Ralph. Like, I've introduced them to the Karate Kid and the Cobra Kai world by they know Ralph, they love Ralph and Marty Cove and the whole cast. They've been on the set of Cobra Kai. They're figuring it out through osmosis, but I've been trying to keep, play dad and keep the dad over here and let Johnny Lawrence eke in as he does, but they're welcome to see it and they want to, especially my son. He's 11. He's like, Dad, when am I going to see Karate Kid? I said, any night, pick a movie night, but every movie night it's not the Karate Kid, so he's got to make that choice.
Martin Cove is back as Sensei Kreese, and his backstory is really interesting too. There's a lot of depth there, but he's scary as ever, right? But it's really hard not to miss Mr. Miyagi, even though we get to see him in these wonderful flashbacks. And Pat Morita passed away in 2005. What do you remember most about him? Was he at all like Mr. Miyagi?
That's a good question. Miyagi was in him in a way that few actors, connect to their roles. He would just snap right into the Miyagi-isms, and yet he had the stand-up comedian background, so he knew where all the humor and all the beats were. And we would play a scene. We would play a scene as in depth as him talking about his wife and child back in the Japanese internment camps in that beautiful Miyagi drunk scene from the original film. And in between takes, he, launch into a fart jokes with sound effects. And then snap right back in. And you couldn't help but love him and his dedication to the respect of the Japanese American community and the weight of what that role meant to him going forward. And I was one of the lucky ones that got to have that a little bit of magic that went back and forth through LaRusso.
I'll say this about Pat. For me, real quick, Karate Kid was my first film. And when I walked onto the set, we were doing rehearsals. There's Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio from The Outsiders. And Pat really took me under his wing and in a way kind of was my Miyagi as far as, helping me feel at place and at home. And I told him on the first day, I said, if there's anything that I'm doing wrong or anything I could do different, please step in and tell me something. And when we did the fence fight with Ralph in the Karate Kid in the skeleton outfit, I remember doing the rehearsals and I was doing it maybe half speed and half energy. And he pulled me aside and he called me BZ. And he says, BZ. He says, listen, man, when you do rehearsals, you got to give 110%, 110%. That way when the cameras are rolling, it's like bread and butter, baby. It's like bread and butter. And it was the greatest thing, And that really heightened that scene for me in the rehearsals and the energy. And he was great. He was just a great, fun, beautiful guy. I called him Uncle Pat. He was everybody's kind of uncle. He's a part of this. His spirit, without him, we're not here, as Ralph always says. And Miyagi is part of this show. And I know he's looking down and, and hopefully giving us that nod.
No, I'm sure of it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. You guys, congratulations. You really have put a brilliant piece of work out there, and people are loving it. Of all ages, all colors, it doesn't matter who voted for who. It's a universal story, and this is thanks to the two of you. So thank you so much for coming to The View. Season 3 of Cobra Kai is streaming now on Netflix, and if you haven't watched the whole thing, watch it from 1 all the way through. It's so good. We'll be right back.
Thank you.